Welcome back to Views from the 50, an NFL podcast where we provide coverage on all things NFL. I'm your co-host, Hefe, and I'm joined by my fellow members of the SFN crew. How's everybody doing tonight?
Hey, we do good, man. We just ready to talk about some football. Just
Niggas are lying because pre-production said otherwise. People are in their feelings, man, about views.
in my feelings. Look, you see what you did there?
Hey man, my name is my name. Holla at Tommy LeBrand. My name is my name.
That's enough.
Holla at me.
Name of this episode is gonna be called "In My Feelings."
Or how I should have put on some infrared.
How about feel no ways? You know,
I should have put on some infrared. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, you are.
Yeah, that's just incredible. But let's
matter of fact, let's go to Daytona. Let's go to Daytona. Let's do some things. Let's go to Daytona, man. Let's figure it out.
We're gonna edit this out.
Why?
Whoa. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Let's get right into it, though, man. Some holdouts are finally over in the NFL. Chris Jones is back. What could this possibly mean for Mahomes? I think this is great for him. Even though they lost week one, I think they showed a little bit of promise. His receivers got to step up, like I was saying, but their defensive key is back. So I think that's really going to help them. Without Chris Jones, they showed a lot of promise. And with him back in the lineup, I think it's only going to get better. How y'all feel about that?
I think that it's going to help on obviously the defensive side of the ball. It's he's a star player, and having him back, I think would have helped week one quite a bit against Detroit. I'm not saying it would have changed the tide of the game, but maybe have created more pressure on Jared Goff because he looked pretty comfortable back there in the pocket. But I think him and Kelce returning overall will just help this team. So key offensive player, key defensive player returning. And week two will definitely elevate the Chiefs against Jacksonville.
I mean, that's a valid point because if you look at the numbers from last year, the Chiefs' pressure rate on quarterbacks with Chris Jones on the field was at 37% versus 29% with him off the field. He also contributed a quarter of their quarterback pressures in 2022, as well as their sack rate drops about 1.3% with him off the field last year. So, that's obviously something that the Chiefs are going to need to have their other players perform as well, because even if he's not getting the sack, other players are going to be getting towards the quarterback because he fills up those holes that you have to double team, sometimes triple team him. And just like what you were saying, piggybacking on what you're saying, Jared Goff had a lot of time. His pocket was clean a lot of the game, and he was able to find his receivers, get the ball off to David Montgomery, who was able to break through the line, obviously scoring a touchdown late in the game. So, Chris Jones obviously makes a difference for this Chiefs defense.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I mean, and like you said, the Lions stormed in there and they roared in there and they got that win. And Dan Campbell, man, he has these guys prepared. Now they get to return home and play Seattle. I feel like they could start this season 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit, again, like what we're talking about even with Chris Jones off the field, the Chiefs still have a decent front seven. But, I know we mentioned last week, at least when I was there on the episode, the Vitae kid or adult. I can't call him a kid because he definitely would turn me into a child, pause. But, he did not allow a single quarterback pressure at right guard. And, again, that's where Chris Jones plays. And, again, Jared Goff, well, I didn't mention this, but Jared Goff, former turnover machine, did not turn the ball over at all last week against Kansas City.
So Jared Goff, actually, I want to say this real quick. Jared Goff is actually approaching history. He could potentially in this game against Seattle this week coming up, he could go for the longest pass attempts or completions without an interception. Tom Brady currently holds the record. I think he needs to get over somewhere in the 390 range or something like that. He has not thrown an interception. And probably 9 consecutive games, essentially dating back to the 2022 regular season. So Jared Goff on the course of making history, breaking Tom Brady's record. So, as long as he stays clean in that pocket, has time to throw, his receivers are getting open, line is doing well, he might just do it. Who would have thought? Jared Goff,
No, I think he got a bad rap, what happened with the Rams. towards the tail end of that his tenure with the Rams. You know, he was turning the ball over a little bit more. And then even with Detroit, he turned the ball over a little bit. But I think he's cleaned up his game a lot. I know he had DeAndre Swift, who's now in Philadelphia, but I mean, they replaced him with David Montgomery, who is a fantasy beast and is consistent, you know, 80, 100 yards a game. Scored again. Say it again.
The rookie, Gibbs.
Yeah. So, you know, both these guys will allow Jared Goff to feel a little bit more comfortable. Teams are going to have to play them a little bit more honest. And Detroit coming into this season, you know, very well could have another elite season on the offense side of the ball. And their defense is only getting better. They're gelling better, you know, with Kirby Joseph and Aiden Hutchinson also leading the way. So, you know, who is to say that Detroit can't win the NFC North? I know Green Bay's still alive, but Chicago, I don't know. These two teams, especially with Jordan Love now, we don't know. It could be the same thing with Green Bay, but Detroit, hey man, they're looking to set the tone early.
Yeah. They really are setting the tone. And speaking of setting the tone, man, life after Tom is taking a whole new approach because Tampa set the tone week 1 against the Vikings, who are also in that division with the Lions. Yeah, you failed to mention them, and I see why.
There's a reason
because
why
they failed to show up week 1. Yeah, they failed to show up week 1, so I see why you definitely failed to mention them. So that was justice on your part. But as far as life after Tom, man, it's interesting to see what the defense was able to do because I don't really think Baker did too much. They're matched up with the the Bears this week, so that'll be a very interesting matchup with Justin Fields and Baker. I'm curious to see if the Bucs can go 2-0 to start this season. But for some reason, I wanna believe the Bears can come in there and win this game.
I mean, you gotta look at what weapons Baker Mayfield has. He has Mike Evans. He's got Rashad White. There's Mike
Godwin
Evans.
healthy?
Godwin is healthy. He had 5 receptions for 51 yards last game against the Vikings. So, and the Vikings, they're not slouches on defense. Obviously, they're not one of the better units.
Vikings definitely slouches on defense. They are
man, I was trying to give him a little bit more credit because I didn't mention him in the NFC North conversation. But my true feelings are that Justin Jefferson needs to get out of there. You could see it in his face. He understands the predicament that he is in right now. But I mean, life after Tom Brady, we're seeing it right now with New England. They really have not returned back to the promised land or any sort of form without Tom Brady. The same is going to be the case for the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, for what it is, he's a journeyman. He helped the Rams sneak a game or two last year, but Tampa Bay, they're not. The NFC South, as I said last season, week in and week out, they're one of my least favorite divisions to talk about, and rightfully so. There's nothing in Tampa Bay going on. I mean, they're next to Orlando that has Disney World, so let's pack up our bags. Teams should pack up their bags and maybe hit Disney World because it's going to be a decently long season for Tampa Bay. There's nothing really out there. What's out there? You got ships, you got cannons. I guess you do have 2 Super Bowls, but current day, I guess you have Antoine Winfield Jr., solid lockdown corner, if he wants. You got Devin White, but there's not really too much that's going to change the game, for them.
They still have Mike Evans for this last year unless they trade him.
If I were Mike Evans, I would ask for a trade.
He's been asking for the trade. They just haven't found it.
I mean, they're not going to get that. You're not going to get enough value that they're going to want to take that trade. Teams have definitely offered. They're just not offering enough value. And nigga, what? Mike Evans is pushing 30.
The thing about Evans is whoever trades for them is also going to have to sign him. He's reaching the end of his recent 5-year deal. So effectively that team would probably be because if you give capital to get him, you'd have him for the rest of the season. You don't have him after that. You'd have to sign him to make it worth it. So I think teams are kind of debating what type of new money they want to put towards an Evans contract. So that's really the stipulation. Like if he was under contract already, I think this would be probably a done deal. However, he's not. So there's that.
I mean, you could do a little trial run, especially for a contender. If he wants to play for a Super Bowl or another Super Bowl, get a quick run out of him. It's like a rental car.
Yeah, I don't think he's giving up capital just to do that.
Where would you send? Like, I don't even know where you would send him.
You definitely have to go to a contender. Somebody that's receiver away. I mean, I think about like honestly, probably like the Giants. Like they probably need a receiver like him. I mean, the guys they have, like
We'll get into that later.
I mean, that team is like Saquon and like a bag of sticks. Like they just like
They acquired Darren Waller. They just got to figure out.
But Darren Waller plays tight end. Not saying he can't be that elite pass catcher in that offense, but Daniel Jones probably needs a true number one. I would think New England would want something like that, but they seem to get around with their group of receivers that they use. But I would think the Giants would be a team with them.
Who? Mac Jones.
That man threw crazy on the Eagles.
I'm playing with Mac.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones also needs an offensive line.
I don't know if the Eagles.
He said who?
Or the
Mac
new
Jones
is that good for New England. So one of the two, or might be both.
They just play fundamental ball. It's like that one team that ain't really got anything to really offer, but they play so well together that they manage to win games.
Who?
And
they lost the game.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean in that aspect. I know they lost, but it's more so the fact of the saying is like the winning demeanor that a team could bring when they have it for the fundamental aspect of that team. So it's more so just understanding that aspect. But I see the vision, just don't see the development anytime soon.
Well, speaking of teams that are trying to get back on track and develop, I want to talk about a team that put up the second least points in week 1. Talking about Joey B struggling second year in a row against Watson, Chubb, and the Browns defense. It was an interesting show. I'm surprised Chubb didn't make it into the end zone. I know he had like over 100 some yards, but I thought he was going to at least break one for a touchdown. He didn't get it. I know Watson did. But it was very interesting to watch the Bengals struggle as they did. I know they did it last season and then they rebounded. But this season, we'll see. Week 2, we got to see. I mean,
Joey B kind of looked like last year's Dak Prescott.
I think the kid will be all right. Joe Burrow has
Excuse me?
of messing up in week 1s. And when I say messing up, just kind of being rusty. Last year, I mean, he missed time because I think he had an appendectomy procedure, something like that. The year before that, I think it was COVID. There was the year that he had the ACL injury. So he misses preseason time like every year that he's pretty much been in the NFL. So it's he just is rusty week 1. It takes him a minute to
Now, that would have been clever. Joey Burrow actually didn't turn the ball over. So if you're going to try to make a joke, at least be accurate because Joey Burrow didn't turn the ball over. The one thing Dak is going to do, he's going to get yards. He's going to score. He didn't turn the ball over. Joey Burrow also did not score as well. So it was good. It was a fair attempt. But the Bills.
I said last year's Dak. I didn't say this year.
Last year's Dak would have scored and at least got some yards. He only put up 82 yards total. Sorry, I didn't mean to say the Bills. I meant to say the Bengals. Both teams struggled this week. So, but that was a fair little poke, Trey. Sad. Nice try. Try again. Leave Dak out of this, okay? He's 1-0 this week. Leave Dak alone.
Boy had one good week, and now everybody know how to act.
No, nobody's. What do you brought us up? This is how it goes every week. The Cowboys win a game. Cowboys fans are getting out of pocket. We haven't said anything all day.
Yeah, we'll get into them a little bit later. We talking about the Joey B struggle.
No, I know. No, we're gonna get to that. I just had to address.
I was just making a small comparison.
I just had to address the quick elephant in the room right there.
That was just a comparison, small comparison, nothing crazy. We can pull up actual weeks, but we'll do that later.
One's 1-0, the other's 0-1. But the Browns, they were able to acquire Jim Schwartz in the offseason, and he made a really big change. If you look at their schemes, they played man-to-man defense 50% of the time, so it allowed their cornerbacks to really utilize their strengths and their physicality. Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome II. Again, he held Joe Burrow down under 100 yards, Nick Chubb 106 yards. When you allow Joe Burrow to sit back and pick apart your zone, that's what's going to happen. I mean, there was a play in the first quarter they were able to acquire first down on the third and long. So they're running a zone. Jamar Chase gets wide open, and after that point, they were 1 for 14 on third downs after the fact. And it also doesn't help that Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett were able to pressure Joe Burrow 12 times just by those two alone. So when you're dealing with that, especially with the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, we already know how they give it up. It doesn't allow Cincinnati's wide receiver core to get open because, again, you have physical cornerbacks and a safety that is very athletic and can get from both sides of the field to really shut down whatever Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals want to try to get done. So kudos to the Cleveland Browns. I don't really think it's an upset because the Browns also have won 4 out of the last 5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Browns just have their number right now. The Bengals, from what it's worth, at least what it's talked about, the Bengals were put together to defeat the Ravens. They just forgot that little brother in Cleveland. It's like, hey, man, we're getting older. We're getting stronger.
Joey's 1-4 against them.
Yeah, I'm sure he has
so.
Definitely not.
It's an unfortunate struggle against them Browns. But speaking of struggles, man, Aaron Rodgers, man, it is very unfortunate to see a man. Honestly, I didn't even know what happened when he sat back on that ground. I was like, what's going on? Why did he sit back down? And then next thing I know, they carting him away. I'm like, oh, okay. Put him in the tent, and then he's going to the back. Next thing you know, they talking about X-rays. And now we hear about a torn Achilles. I'm like, whew. But torn Achilles, hey, Tommy Grand, I know you know a little something about torn Achilles. You want to get into this one?
I want to first say that I would never wish any sort of injury of this, any sort of torn Achilles on anyone. I know that Aaron Rodgers and the Cowboys have a very long history where he breaks our hearts over and over and over again. I tend to tell friends and strangers, colleagues alike, I'm in an emotionally abusive relationship with the Dallas Cowboys, and Aaron Rodgers plays a really large part in that. But seeing that torn Achilles, it breaks my heart because the Jets look like they were primed to win the AFC East. They look like they were primed to make a very long run. The Williams brothers, Sauce Gardner, CJ Mosley. I've spoken highly about that team for a very long time, and they just were missing a quarterback, and now they're back to the drawing board with Zach Wilson. I wish Aaron Rodgers a successful recovery. I heard somebody say not a speedy recovery, but a successful recovery, and that makes absolute sense. That's exactly how I feel.
Schefter
take your
put out a
time.
tweet with Aaron Rodgers getting surgery, he just got out of surgery. As you said that,
That's good.
I saw the tweet.
Yeah, no, that's good because
I don't respect that nobody gives Zach Wilson no credit, bro.
Oh, he hasn't done nothing to get.
Yeah, I mean he
was a high draft, a lot of potential, but hasn't done anything with it. So
he ain't have nothing to do. What did you expect him? What weapons has he had since he's been there? I dare somebody call Elijah Moore a weapon.
Garrett Wilson last year. I mean, he made Offensive Player of the Year, and they had a bench Zach Wilson.
You just had Garrett, and then after getting Garrett, now Aaron Rodgers was coming into.
But I'm just saying they benched him in that same season because he was so bad. They had what's his name? The journeyman come in.
Don't disrespect Joe Flacco.
Not Flacco. Yes, Flacco was there, but there was another person.
You talking about the receiver Jameson Crowder?
No,
he's talking about the other quarterback. Nah, Zach got hurt.
Was it Mike White? Was it Mike White?
Oh yeah, Mike White. Yeah,
that was because Zach got hurt, if I'm correct.
Zach was playing terrible. That's the reason they had
I
think he got hurt, but the reason he didn't get his job back was because
but he did get his job back after he got hurt. That was the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So.
We bought in Aaron Rodgers after he got hurt. So why would we want to play you right then? We didn't have a reason to play you. We just bought in Aaron Rodgers.
That clearly wasn't ready. A lot of times the NFL would rush guys in because they're they want that, that guy, okay, we brought you in at the draft. You have 1 year. We didn't expect anything. Year 2, we expect Mahomes, or we expect a Lamar Jackson season or whatever. And a lot of guys need more development in that. You look at Jordan Love in Green Bay, see how he's come along. How many years did he end up sitting? About 3 years or so. He looked great.
He sat behind though as well.
Aaron Rodgers, obviously. So Zach Wilson sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, we expected him to improve. I remember Aaron Rodgers, one of his opening things he said for the Jets was, I'm going to come in here for a few years. we're gonna play great ball, and then I'm gonna hand it off to Zach. So ideally his plans seem to be I'm gonna come in here for a few years, whatever. And Zach is gonna be under us. They spent, the high capital on him. Then afterwards, we want him to take over. He just wasn't ready. Guys need more time. Zach obviously needed more time. Hopefully he picked up some things from Aaron, just during the time. Hopefully Aaron's still available. I can't imagine that he wouldn't be, but just to kind of mentally prepare him, whatever tricks of the trade, I don't know what it is, but he wasn't ready. That's the point. He wasn't ready. That's the whole reason they brought Aaron Rodgers in. They moved heaven and earth to get him.
There's absolutely no way Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back next season because it's in the script. Rodgers for comeback player of the year next year. I'm stamping it right here, right now, letting everybody know.
It's also not for him to change the viewpoint that people have of him. I think the viewpoint is that he's smug. He's a bit of an asshole. He thinks he's better than everyone. He has this persona about him. He is great, but it's just like he has this persona. I think this opportunity to come back, I think that will kind of change people's perception of Aaron, and I think he would jump at that opportunity. I don't know. He seemed different. I'll say that he seemed different since arriving to the Jets or whatever. So I think he's gonna come back. I agree. I agree.
I will say that Achilles injury is it's definitely hard to recover from, especially at 39 years old. But he also has millions of dollars to rehab and put into his body. So who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But speaking of these injuries, man, you had another guy that got hurt this past weekend, and Cam Hayward. He's now out for 8 weeks, injured his groin in that 49ers game where Brock Purdy looked like he never even got injured in the first place.
I mentioned the other player who got the same injury as Rodgers this past week. Our guy in Baltimore, J.K. Dobbins. He also
that you're right. J.K. Dobbins, man. And I mean, it's unfortunate for him because he's out again. I mean, they just have problems out there.
Yeah, he just came back and he's out again, unfortunately.
They did mention that Baltimore's training staff does a whole thing with Lamar not wanting to sign with Baltimore.
Is that just like a 95 thing? We got the same coaching trainers in Washington and Baltimore.
Probably so.
Is that what's going on here? Like,
yeah, they might just be sharing.
They might just be sharing.
That's probably why everyone is injured in Baltimore and Washington.
Yeah, they might just be sharing. Like, that's what's going on. I think we just figured it out.
We did the science.
I think we just
speedy and successful recovery to J.K. Dobbins as well. Again, not the biggest fan of Baltimore, at least the Ravens, but you never want to see somebody go down with a torn Achilles.
Twice in the last 3 years.
Yeah, he just came back from an ACL.
That was the year before last.
Yeah, unfortunately, a full year or so since he sustained that one, and then he came back with the Achilles this past week. So tough break.
Of course, it might be time for him to wrap it
he's
up.
He's a young guy too. I don't think he's like 26 years old. He's pretty young. He's only been in the league for 4 years. I think
that's just like the unfortunate circumstance. Some instances.
Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 24 years old. So, I mean, to be that young with those injuries, I mean, at his position, I don't even know if he's going to come back.
He was asking for a deal this offseason. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was asking for a contract.
Oh, he won't be getting that.
Probably not.
I'm sorry.
Probably not. Unless he's super, heals pretty quickly.
But speaking of guys that heal pretty quickly, as I was saying, Brock Purdy, man, are we sure he was ever injured?
No, he wasn't. He just didn't want to play Philadelphia. The lights were too bright.
Yeah, I think the man was hurt.
He was definitely.
However, I mean, he's very, very young. His ability to bounce back is greater than, someone who's in their, mid-30s, mid to late 30s or whatever that would sustain an injury. I think Ben Roethlisberger suffered something like that towards the end of his career, and he just, obviously I think he was already, gonna retire, but an injury like that to come back is just very difficult. I think it was a Tommy John, injury that he sustained, but it's good to see him come back. Yeah, yep. And it's good to see him come back because a lot of people thought it was just a scheme. They thought it was just like defenses weren't familiar with his, play or whatever. Well, they got tape on him, and doesn't matter. I mean, he's still throwing touchdowns like, nothing happened. So good for him. I heard Joey Bosa saying like something like a lot of people doubted him. They didn't think that he was that guy, but he's everything that we thought that he was. So I mean, that's cool to see that. I mean, they moved on from Trey Lance, sent him to Dallas, so they clearly believed in his not just his recovery but his talents.
I mean, and it showed. I mean, he was putting on that field, man. It looked like I said, it looked like he never was hurt at all.
Yeah,
moving and grooving.
I know we're supposed to be objective here, but as a Cowboys enthusiast, we have to deal with the big brother out there. So it's better that we could deal with the big brother with a full arm and legs and head. So Brock Purdy, we're coming. Pause.
That was unnecessary. That was so unnecessary.
But hey, but wow. All right, but yeah, that's insane. The 49ers this week, they play the Rams, who had a very surprising performance in week 1 when they traveled over to Seattle. I for one was very shocked. Well, actually, I can't say I was shocked because on paper, if you actually look at the Rams on paper, they're not a bad team. I think they just had one too many injuries last season, and their record wasn't who I think they actually are. So I can't really say I'm too shocked, but to come into Seattle and beat them 30-13 week 1, I think is huge. And it's unfortunate for Geno, who just signed that deal. So hopefully Geno can bounce back week 2 when they play the Lions, but I highly doubt that. So it's looking like a 0-2 start for the newly signed Geno. So we'll see what happens in Seattle.
I don't think they do. I don't think so.
I'm sorry.
I don't think they beat the Lions. I really don't.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be an unfortunate 0-2 start, and week 3 they play Carolina, and they're at home. So I think week 3 they can finally start getting things back on track, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But it's unfortunate. But the Rams, man, they put on week 1, and now they have to play the big boys in Brock Purdy and the 49ers. So it's gonna be a good show. How y'all feel about the Rams though? Week 1 beating up on Seattle.
Like you said, surprising. I agree. I didn't expect that. I mean, the way they ended their preseason, just the attitude around the game, just trying to not really caring about it. Not that I think the team doesn't care, but I mean, looking at the running back situation, I'm like, there's no way they beat Seattle. Seattle can just run this ball all day, and they're gonna have to pass a million times to try to catch up. But it was the other way around. They ran the ball quite effectively, passed the ball quite effectively too, without Cooper Kupp. I think Tutu Atwell, and I believe he's a rookie. Cannot even pronounce his name, but for those of you that play fantasy, I'm sure you're familiar.
Uka Nakua or Nika.
Yeah, I didn't even want to try that.
Yeah,
he was the star.
We're gonna practice sounding things out.
I believe he had double-digit targets in that game, so it looks like he's really filling in that Cooper Kupp role for Stafford. No touchdowns from Stafford, but just a lot of production through the air, over 300 yards. Definitely something that I think folks were not anticipating, but good for them. Good for them. I mean, to come to Seattle and beat them and their fans is pretty tough. Geno did not play good, played like crap. So there's that.
Yeah, man, it was. I mean, they're former Super Bowl champions. Aaron Donald is still out there, so and Matthew Stafford is never.
Oh no, he's not. I'm sorry.
No, he's off the field right now. Yeah, and he's in Miami somewhere.
He's in Miami. You're right.
He's in Miami with Tyreek and them running 40-yard sprints and all that jazz. Well, he's hurt right now, but he's not doing that. So anyway, but I mean, the Rams, it was only a matter of time. They had a down year. That's pretty much what that boils down to. It was just a down year. Matthew Stafford looked like Matthew Stafford of old, very efficient. Cam Akers and Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
2 TDs. Well, they both had 3 TDs in total. So, NFC West. Who's that? Rams, Seattle. Who's the big boy out there?
The defensive tackle, the nose tackle, Aaron Donald.
No, I'm sorry, San Francisco. I'm talking about different teams. San Francisco.
Oh, and the
And who's
Cardinals.
the fourth team out there? Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah,
They don't matter though.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to the Rams and the 49ers. I mean, 49ers are obviously the big brother in the NFL right now, the way the Philadelphia Eagles are playing right now. So, but I mean, again, what Trev said, good for you guys, man. Congratulations. Congratulations, Aaron Donald. You turned Geno Smith into a meme when you're in charge at him full speed. Geno goes, "Oh my God," and throws the ball away. So
Hot mic. Yeah.
yeah, we love a good hot mic.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
So
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But speaking about hot things, there's a hot rivalry over with the Packers and Bears that still heats up every year. And the Packers, man, they steady on their winning ways, no matter who's at quarterback. It looks like now. Jordan Love stepped in, did what he needed to do, and I mean, what did he throw? 3 touchdown passes. I mean, he learned from the best. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
I think this is kind of like the thing in Green Bay. You know, Aaron Rodgers learned from Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers was a little upset, and he had to bide his time. And then Super Bowl later, again, successful recovery to Aaron Rodgers. It's probably the same thing. I don't think Jordan Love was upset about it because we all know Aaron Rodgers, arguably the most skilled quarterback we've seen with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes. That's a wonderful group to be, consider your colleagues and guys you hang out with when it comes to at the end of the day, when it's all said and done. So I'm not going to say Jordan Love's trajectory is that, but he looked good. He looked excellent against Chicago. And Green Bay is always going to bully Chicago, so he carried on with the trend. I wish Jordan Love the best of luck out there. He still got Aaron Jones and
Dylan,
AJ Dillon out there for protection.
Got Watson still when he comes back healthy.
Yeah, so I mean, he's still got a slew of weapons. So I wish that young brother the best of luck, as long as he doesn't beat Dallas. That's all I care about. We can't have that trend. We can't have that continue. We cannot have that continue at all. That has got to come to an end.
Yeah,
Sam, I see you shaking your head. What's up, man?
No comment. I'm off. Yeah, I know the same. Not on that topic. No, just leave that alone. I'm waiting for my favorite topic. It's coming soon.
Is it the slow start for the Eagles? Because they weren't looking too good about who? Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, he was out there. Mac Jones was he was trying to dial one up at the end of the game. I thought he might do it to him.
Mac Jones, all-pro quarterback out there against the Philadelphia Eagles defense, man.
You said who?
He looked like an all-pro quarterback, man.
I know who we talking about.
I'm not gonna say it.
How many years has Mac Jones been here? How many years has Mac Jones been there?
Was number 3?
3 probably.
Is this 3 or 2?
I think this is 3.
Definitely not 2.
He stunk it up last year, but he won like.
Did he come in with Wilson or did he not come in with Wilson?
Good question.
I thought he came in with Wilson. I thought they both were on.
I don't think so. I believe this is his
Hold
third
on.
year. I believe it is his 3rd year.
He's with Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. Yep, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, 2021.
He was in that one.
But yeah, they're on year 3 now.
Yeah, they're on year 3.
So yeah, that's the difference. Good development, no development. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
if Mac Jones was put in a proper location, if Zach Wilson was put in a proper location or had a good coach to develop under, it wouldn't be the same situation.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying. What?
You also have to show a certain amount of skill, and he just wasn't displaying that.
Wait, hold on.
I get what you're saying.
Wait. He had to show somewhat skill for Wilson to earn Offensive Player of the Year. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but for Wilson to earn Offensive Player of the Year, it wasn't all Zach Wilson. It was Zach Wilson, it was Mike White, and it was Joe Flacco. A combination of those guys. The quarterback did not matter to him. He was still, gonna ball out. So
Joe Flacco is just
anything is a testament to Garrett Wilson, it didn't matter in his rookie year. Did not matter the rotation of quarterbacks. He was still going to catch the ball and go off. You also had the emergence of Breece Hall. I believe that helped as well until he injured himself. So I mean, I don't think that his success was anyway truly related to Zach Wilson. However, I do agree that if Zach Wilson was maybe placed in a different situation, just with some real seemingly guidance, maybe.
Coach would care. A coach would care, I'll say.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say anything negative about Robert Saleh. I just think that, Bill Belichick, that coaching staff, they're used to developing guys. Brady was a undrafted 6th-round pick, something like that, whatever. So it's one of those things where it's just like they're willing to recognize, a guy's skill set and, bring him up. So now that they've got the new offensive coordinator, I mean, Mac Jones looks great out there. He doesn't even have a true number one,
Yeah, they don't have a number one at all, which is crazy. But I'm pretty sure all their receivers still managed to get over 15 fantasy points this week. They're at least their top two.
Mac Jones was the number 2 quarterback in fantasy on the week.
24.32 if I'm correct in PPR.
Who?
Mac Jones.
Yes, sir.
Kendrick Bourne was on that list. Kendrick Bourne, I think, finished with like 15.7. And then who else am I missing? I think Nelson Aguilar too, if I'm correct.
You're missing one more though.
He was like at 7.3, if I'm correct, 7.8, one of those two.
Somebody went off for that offense, and I forgot who it was. They had like 20.
Kendrick Bourne. I'm pretty sure it was Kendrick Bourne because Ramondre Stevenson, you have him on fantasy. I don't think he had more than 11th. But I know Kendrick Bourne had 15. Who's the top?
But even
top fantasy player of the week was definitely Calvin Ridley for sure, if I'm correct.
The gambling man himself.
Big man Ridley. Was it?
Yeah.
I think so. Or shit. It may have been y'all defense.
That defense put up like 30-some points.
Defense had like 32 points in PPR.
And absolutely insane.
I don't see that happening again, but I mean, I'll respect it for the week it happened.
I mean,
40 points actually. Put up 40 points.
No, we're talking about the fantasy points.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, they put up 40 fantasy points?
Yeah, I got them.
Oh, that's absurd.
You have 40 fantasy points with their defense?
Oh, so I didn't start them because I was like, it's the first week. I don't want to start Dallas. They might be up, just on some weird first week stuff. I'm just like, I don't like doing that. So I was like, let me go with like another defense. They got me 7 points, but Dallas had
40 points on the bench.
Yeah, 40 points on the bench. Yeah, I mean, I still won my week, but
that defense
that
alone might have beat any. Hey, let me just say this: that defense on your bench alone might have outbeat everybody else's bench in your league just with that defense.
Probably so. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they had
just
40.
with that defense on your bench.
That's crazy because they had 40. The score was literally 40. They put up 40 points on their stat. That's pretty wild.
That's fucking sad.
For my scoring, for how I have it set up, they put up 40 points.
That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, speaking of 40 fantasy points, they put up 40 points in real life too. But is the real story that the defense is the key here? Or the
Absolutely.
Giants are the Giants just really that bad?
Well, the New York Giants are always Daniel Jones got his contract off the back of Saquon Barkley, who had to fight with other running backs to get a 1-year deal.
Which is absurd.
It's just Saquon and just a bag of dust, in my opinion. I mean, like Daniel Jones, he's a mobile quarterback. He can move when he needs to, pick up yards with his feet. I mean, he's not the worst passer. I think he needs better receivers overall. And I think he got a lot done last year with some, pretty mediocre pass catchers. But I mean, without Saquon Barkley, he does not have the season he has last year. They do not beat the Giants. The Giants do not beat the Vikings, in the postseason. To expect that team to beat the Cowboys, knowing the guys we have on defense, the guys we have at cornerback, the guys we have on the line, our linebackers, was absurd. I didn't think they'd win, but I did think that, Daniel Jones' athleticism at least kind of keep the game alive a little bit. I was completely wrong. Dallas defense is just that real. Nothing could be done about that. I mean, he made some bad decisions even when he did have a little bit of time. And And when he wasn't making bad decisions, the defense overwhelmed him. I mean, there was nothing he could do. I mean, there was a play where Saquon had caught the ball. He was moving. Dude got hit so hard, the ball flew out of his hand and was caught and returned for a touchdown. I mean, what can you do about that? Nothing. So,
Go ahead.
I think they beat the crap out of the Cardinals, though, this upcoming week. I think the Cardinals are probably the worst team in the NFL. So
yeah, I mean, if this is a real test right here, if they don't beat the Cardinals, then we really know what the Giants are about.
the Commanders beat the Cardinals.
I mean, they barely beat the Cardinals. I knew it
That's
was
what I'm
going to
saying.
happen,
They barely.
they beat them.
Called that comeback, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
The Commanders are the Commanders are a quarterback away. But
They've
Sad,
got,
what do you
you've got good pass catchers and a good defense. I'll give them that.
Sad, are you gonna say something, or is it gonna be
No, that was it.
Am I gonna- so I can give my excerpt on how we feel about the Cowboys versus the Giants game?
Go ahead. That was it. I'm done.
We can dive in there.
Go ahead and
Talk about
dive.
Trayvon Diggs forcing that interception to Deron Bland, or how Fowler, Michael Parsons, the entire front line of Diggy just getting into Daniel Jones. But I do think that their offensive line struggles. They did say that Evan Neal had an issue with the Dallas Cowboys pass rush last year. So I do think our defense gelling together one more year, especially with Dan Quinn, it gave us an advantage this week at least. So we have a
21-17.
I'm not entertaining you right there. But
Brees Hall
we
with
have
2 touchdowns on the ground. I'm calling that shit right now.
we have a legitimate test this week against the New
2
York Jets.
touchdowns on the ground for Brees Hall. If Brees don't play, Dalvin's still gonna have 2 on the ground, and Garrett Wilson will have 1. That's how that game's gonna go for you guys. It's unfortunate. You guys are. This is what you guys do. You guys ride high on a high horse. We don't want. Oh, we won by 40. We're big dogs now. Ooh. Chest gets humble.
None of us on this this cast has said anything too big doggy or anything out of line. We were just
I'm speaking of team related. Don't be biased. I'm speaking team related.
No, you said that we got big dog. I was just telling you that none of us did.
As people who are Cowboys enthusiasts, as a player, when you win by 40, you have the best score in the league. You're gonna feel some type of way. You gonna feel big. You're gonna feel like a big dog, correct?
I think that we, play good football. We play good football. We're moving to the next week. I think that everybody's focused week by week. You play the game to win. You play to win the game, right? Cowboys won. No matter what the score is, the Cowboys won. I think Michael Parsons and Dan Quinn, they have this defense ready to go. I think this week our offense is going to have to play a little bit more because this Jets defense, as we said previously, they are an elite unit. They, across the board, are very strong, very solid. I don't think this is a situation where the Cowboys feel like, oh, we're the big dogs on the block. It's just 1 week. We have a lot to prove. We have a lot of football left to play. The New York Jets. So
you're telling me you win by 40 and you don't feel some type of way?
No, I didn't do a whole bunch of trash talk this week. I didn't say anything.
I'm not talking. I'm not.
The Cowboys are excited that they won the game. I think they feel good about winning the game. Whether it was by 40 or 4. Whether it's by 40 or 4, we're excited to win the game. It's the same result. They played an excellent game. Very few miscues. The offense has to clean itself up. We're going to be missing Brandon Cooks. So we have to clean it up. Maybe we make a trade for Mike Evans. I don't know.
I think you guys should, because without Tony Pollard, I don't think your offense is movable, personally. But that's neither here nor there. But the only thing I was saying is, as a player, when you win by 40, there's a different type of mental you have versus winning by 4. That's what I was saying.
Those are immature players. I think that
the other team didn't score any points. I mean, that's like that's
the best game of the week. You had the game of the week on Monday night. You're going to feel some type of way. Your head's going to be placed. Let's be realistic.
I don't think so. I think
we all gone to school the next day after a blowout and felt like that guy.
But this is different because we're not going back to school. We have multiple games left to play. We're professional athletes.
Press. It's high school. It's high school for adults.
But we're not the Cowboys. We're not outlandish. There wasn't too many sound bites except for with Jerry Jones and his whatever he has going on. Aside from that, I think the Cowboys and Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn has that defensive unit locked in. We're here to play football, man. It's nothing about all the theatrics, none of the extracurriculars. We're here to play football, and that's it, man. Everybody has to line up on both sides of the ball. That's just what that is. We have a test. The West Coast offense with Mike McCarthy. We're gonna have to see what's going on. We have to really see what's going on. We have a real test on defense. Not to say that the Giants weren't a test, but they didn't show up this week. So now the Cowboys have got to come out here and play football this week. We have the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers, but as you said, Zach Wilson was under Aaron Rodgers for X amount of months. So maybe he was cultivated a little bit. Maybe Robert Saleh took a little bit of time to nurture Zach Wilson. So we'll see. Last time the Cowboys played the Jets, they were upset in 2019 in New York.
I remember that.
So, I remember that game as well. Dak Prescott decided to try to come back at the end of the game.
Yeah, a little too late.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is 6 months of Aaron Rodgers versus 2 years of not having a quality quarterback coach is gonna go a long way, in my personal opinion. I'm not disrespecting.
So which one is it? Is it going to be the run game or the pass game that's going to beat us? Which one is it?
What do you mean? Okay, so that's still. I said Garrett Wilson will have a touchdown. So, and they're still going to try to get to McCole. So, in my honest opinion, I'm gonna put this. I'll put the lay in. I'll put the lay in on this. I got Zach Wilson over 200, one throwing touchdown. Breece Hall on the ground, 2 running touchdowns. If Breece plays, if Breece doesn't play, I got Dalvin with 1 on the ground, Garrett Wilson with 2.
Hey, Sav, how many times is Wilson getting sacked?
I'll give you 2.
2.
Okay.
I'll give you 2.
Interesting.
He
Okay.
gets knocked out the game. I think he gets knocked out the game.
So you think he gets knocked out the game?
Like whether it's a coach's decision or whether it's Zach's decision, I think he gets knocked out the game. Just like we're getting beat, let's go ahead and put the backup in type of situation.
I'm not going to say that, but I do think that Zach Wilson is going to get hit a lot of times.
He got sacked twice against the Bills.
Yeah, get sacked twice. Getting hit, I definitely think he's going to get hit, but he's going to get the ball off before he gets hit, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
I watched a play the other night where this man had the ball and ran back like 25 yards and then tried to throw the ball away or something like that. Like he's making poor decisions.
You don't think number 11 is going to catch him?
That's the thing. He'll probably catch him. Like I think he thought he was going to get away with some stuff the other night.
No, I was asking Sav. I mean, because he's saying he's only going to get sacked twice.
That man is an animal, bro. That man does whatever he wants, whenever he wants, bro. And there's not really much the Jets offensive line can do to contain him. So it's really gonna depend on how defensively you guys attempt to attack them. Once again, I feel like they have speed on you guys as far as receiver wise, in my personal opinion. I feel like the receivers will burn your corners. Personally. That's personal opinion. But it's just one of those things where it's going to be, like you guys said, Zach making sure he can get the ball where he needs to get the ball. Zach gets the ball where he needs to get the ball. I see it being a good game. Because I don't have faith in Dak. I don't have faith in Dak, personally.
Nobody does. So that's
another
we don't need to. We don't need to. I have faith in the defense. I have faith in that defense.
So when your defense, that's fine. I'm outnumbered here. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it tonight. It's not worth it tonight.
He's just gonna throw it.
It's
not worth it tonight. I'm outnumbered tonight. We'll wait till Sunday. The playing field will be even.
It won't be.
Huh?
Exactly. It won't.
Why won't it be?
It would be 4. It would be 4-on-2.
Your numbers, they're not adding up.
Oh, that's right. He is.
Yeah, numbers aren't adding. I was like, what math is he doing?
I forgot about
Marcus Lawrence, Sam Williams, Odigizua, Jonathan Hankins.
Who gets the first sack on
Michael
Zach?
Parsons.
I bet the Cowboys players.
Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler.
No, you're gonna get it. No, you're gonna get it. It's gonna be like that. Like it's like no, you get
again.
it.
I'm not bragging because again they beat us last time, and we have issues with the run. But you're talking about the receivers and all that, and that's
we do
fine.
have issues with the run.
But the thing is,
that
we
is
have
our
issues
biggest
with the
problem.
run. That's going to be our bit. That's going to be our issue, whether they can run the ball. But the issue is, as
They
far as
can run the ball.
passing, I'm not okay. That's fine. What I'm saying to you is, you're talking about the receivers going to burn our cornerbacks. You have to have time to throw the ball.
Right, that's what I said. I just said that. I specifically stated if Zach Wilson can place the ball where he needs to place it.
But how is he going to place it if he has no time?
That's what I meant by placing it. Like if he has the time.
Okay.
That's what I said.
well,
I should have
English
said
language
time
is-
for clarification, but
English is hard for me. I needed to. My bad. I needed to.
But yeah, I understand that. But like I said, they're definitely gonna run the ball a lot for sure. And once again,
they're
it's
not going
gonna
to have a
depend on
choice.
if
And
Brees.
if we go up early, they're going to have to pass. That's what the Giants had to do. 7 sacks later.
Like I said, I got Jets scoring the first touchdown. Unless it's Tony Pollard on the ground. You guys, Dak is not trustworthy. As a receiver, I'm like, damn, am I gonna get the ball? That's how I have to go in every game with that man.
Bro,
Me
he
looking
had one bad year.
He said he
last year.
wasn't gonna do it,
He
and
had
he's back
one
in the
bad year
trenches.
last year, and he still threw 23 touchdowns.
He's back
What
in
are
the
you talking
trenches with
about?
Tommy.
Yeah.
That's all.
He's still a top 10 passer in the league. What are we talking about?
Currently,
You cannot. Yes,
All right, let's move
1000%.
off. Let's move off Mr. Prescott. I think we've discussed him enough. We've discussed
Yeah,
him.
we can definitely get into him on
Can't
Sunday.
name 10
when we-
quarterbacks better than
morning.
Dak Prescott.
Sunday
Hey,
morning.
look, we can get
Sunday
into
morning,
we can. Yeah, we
It's
can get
gonna
all.
take you 3 days to figure it out.
No, we're moving on. That's
No,
why.
yeah. We're getting up out of here. I'm
These guys,
closing this one up. I'm wrapping. I'm putting the bag on this episode. They
These
can
guys.
catch this the rest of this argument on Sunday, where they can find us on Twitch. On the handle will be Social Frequency. We'll be live. Put those notifications on. Probably as early, I'd say maybe around 10 o'clock. We'll stream this episode, but around 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, around 11:30, we'll get into some fantasy football and some live game previews, and probably some more of this Dak Prescott nonsense talk that Sav wants to get into with Wayne and everybody else. So we'll see what transpires from there. But other than that, you can catch us on Spotify, Views from the 50 there. You can catch us on YouTube now, Views from the 50 podcast, and on IG, Views from the 50. Other than that, catch us next week right back here.